Are you stressed about big purchases? Do you worry about paying too much for your rent or mortgage? Do you know if you're saving enough money for retirement? A budget alleviates these stressors, but where do you start? This week, we'll break down 3 ways to start budgeting today so you can get rid of that money stress. Here's the question of the week. I want to move out preferably by the end of next year. I'm currently 22 and live at home with my dad, where I don't pay rent. I know people always say to live at home for as long as possible to save, but honestly, I'm not happy here and would prefer to aggressively save over the next year. I always think about the day I will move out. As excited and determined as I am, I'm terrified that I'll turn into one of those people that live paycheck to paycheck, having no savings, struggling to afford basic things, etc. I have been so good with saving since I got my first full-time job in May, and have been saving nearly half of my monthly income since while paying all of my bills and credit cards. I don't buy unnecessary things, and I barely drink or go out for food. My biggest guilty financial pleasure is probably a $5 coffee. Anyway, how did people who have gone through this gotten over the fear of moving out? Did you even have the fear, or am I just crazy? Let me help you understand how important a budget is that can reduce your money stress. In this survey conducted by Debt.com, 90% of respondents say everyone should have a budget. 85% agree that budgeting has helped them get out or stay out of debt. That's my family included. Half of the survey respondents admitted living paycheck to paycheck, and more recent surveys show that that figure has increased to 64% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. At the same time, 65% of Americans say they don't know how much they spent last month. This is no coincidence. We all need a budget, and most of us are flying blind. We've been there. We got married and we were on cloud 9. A big southern wedding ceremony and a romantic honeymoon getaway, and I'd like to say we came home to a well-maintained house and a debt-free lifestyle full of opportunity. Unfortunately, we were on a roller coaster of living one season on a tight budget and another season spending without any thought. This led to most seasons being tight, and it took us years until we started talking about money together and being on the same page. We took a class and got some valuable coaching that got us started trying each of these methods to budget. Now we're debt-free and able to enjoy a life together without the stress of living paycheck to paycheck. People are terrified of living paycheck to paycheck, and for a good reason. Everyone has financial goals, it just may not appear like a financial goal on the front end. I was with another couple, some of our friends yesterday, and one of them said to the other, I want to take our kids to Disney World and do the full experience. The dinners, the parks, staying at the resort with all the extras. And their spouse immediately responded, well, we're going to need to find some more deals to sell. That's like $10,000 at least. Thus began the longest awkward silence of admission I have heard in a while. It wasn't the first time that they had had this conversation, and I don't think it had ever gone very well. You could feel the awkward tension hanging in the air. That awkwardness, it was born right out of a fear of money. Here are 3 plans to start budgeting in a more productive way. These reduce your stress and can be started today. You don't need to spend any extra money, and they can be done with a pen and paper and just an afternoon. First is the 50-30-20 rule. In this method of budgeting, you're going to write down everything you spend in a month and put them into 3 different categories. The first category are your needs. This is the 50% of this 50-30-20 rule. They include the 4 walls or wheels that you may have heard of. I like to describe this as like the 4 wheels of a car: shelter, food, transportation, and utilities. These are the ones that you can't live without. Some examples include rent or mortgage payments, utility bills, health insurance premiums, groceries, a metro pass, gas for your car. These are things that you just simply have to be able to sustain yourself month to month. Your next category are your wants. That's WANTS, and that's 30% of your budget. Examples include eating out, clothes, electronic gadgets, money spent on hobbies, vacations, Netflix subscriptions. These are things that you could eliminate from your budget any given month in order to focus on what the essentials are. And in this 50-30-20 rule, that last 20% is your savings and your debt. Examples of this include the emergency fund that you set aside, retirement accounts, debt payments, and any other money that you're setting aside for future use or paying down your debt with. This is the most common and popular budget breakdown that I've seen. The second common breakdown is the 60-30-10 rule. This distribution shuffles the deck and is for aggressive savers or high earners. With this budget, you'll use 60% of your take-home pay to build up your savings, invest, and pay off your debt. Next, you'll take 30% and put it towards your needs. This includes the food, housing, utilities, healthcare, transportation, the four wheels that support your car of your financial self. Finally, you'll use the remaining 10% of your budget to pay for discretionary spending. These wants may include all those accessories, a day at the spa, whatever you want to do to spend that 10% on yourself. The 4 steps to being able to figure out which one of these 2 is good for you would be to determine your income, allocate your financial goals and needs, take care of those needs first, and then work your way towards spending that last 10% on yourself. Finally, here's a more detailed distribution called the Ramsey breakdown, courtesy of Dave Ramsey. This is for people who need to control their spending in a more detailed way and see where their specific strengths and weaknesses are in their budget. Ramsey's 11 budget categories, along with their percentages, start with giving at 10%, and this is giving to a reasonable and worthy cause. Saving at 10%. This includes your retirement savings, 401k match, Roth IRA, etc. Food at 10 to 15%, and this is eating out, groceries, restaurants, fast food, etc. Utilities, 5 to 10%. This is the portion of your budget that goes towards your water bill, gas bill, electricity. Housing costs. This is your rent and mortgage, but also your PMI, HOA dues, all those hidden fees of housing. Transportation costs. This is 10% that goes towards your car payments, if you have a car loan, but also gas, oil changes, anything that gets you from point A to point B. Your health. This is medical bills and payments, preventative care, 5 to 10% of your budget. Insurance, this could be 10% all the way up to 25% of your budget, and normally on the 10% side, it includes your obviously health insurance, but also a life insurance policy, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, an umbrella policy if you have any sort of circumstances that increase your risk. 5 to 10% what he calls recreation. This is just your entertainment budget. This is the fun money to be able to go out and go to a concert or go out with friends. Your personal spending, this is where I put things like clothing and other kinds of hobbies and things like that. And this is 5 to 10% of your budget. And finally, it's good to have a 5% miscellaneous category. And this is going to be that catch-all when you're really stressed about where to put something in your budget. My friends that I was talking to have big hearts and big dreams for their family's future. They just need a simple plan so when they talk about money, they're on the same page and eliminate their fear. The most important thing is to start. If you're married, start the conversation and listen to what their goals and dreams are. If you're single, find someone who can help you stay accountable. People who have financial stress can find perspective and clarity through a budget that moves them towards achieving their small or big goals. Start the conversation, and if you need an advocate for yourself or your family, get a coach, a class, or a common language to use when you're budgeting or talking about money. We'd be happy to help. You can also find our resources and info in the bio. But remember, it's not about money. It's about your own dreams and goals for your future.